So I wake up this morning to a video of a podcast when Suen do with Omojuwa. And for that video, Omojuwa referred to a question when Suen asked Peter Obi, when Peter Obi come in podcast on wetin be the problem to the power sector for Nigeria. And Peter Obi answered that question simply in 5 seconds or less, say government is the problem. Then, when Omojuwa come for his own interview, he said Peter Obi no answer the question when Suen ask him. And in his wisdom, when he feel say he wise, he took get sense, he can't try to answer the question the way he expect Peter Obi to answer him. Mona watch this video. When I come back, I go answer him.
It's not rocket science. Egypt, I'm not saying now, say the 3 countries that improved power in the recent time, unless one did it yesterday, at the time I went to Egypt, were 3 countries in the world. India, Vietnam, and Egypt. And those are developing countries. So, governance is about learning from best practices. It is not rocket science.
So what do you feel? Have you identified why I am over 40 and I've not, in my lifetime since I was born, I've not experienced constant electricity, and my children were born into a similar situation? The question is, have you identified what the problem is?
Yes, the problem is in failure of leadership.
That's the problem of electricity.
Everything.
I don't want to miss answering.
This is the way I will fix power.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you.
First of all, Peter Obi has never answered the question on fixing power. I mean, you know, the beauty of it was your question. Even you look confused. Like, what the hell is this answer? Because you had an expectation of procedure and order, and this person says leadership. Whether you were conscious of your confusion or not is a different thing, but your confusion was apparent on TV for all to see that this is such a disaster. Now, what you were expecting when you answered that question is this. You were not expecting somebody to say, when you say, so what is, because you were hammering on, so what is it, right? You had said recent countries that fixed power, Vietnam, Egypt, blah, blah, blah. So, and then it goes, it's leadership. And I could see sometimes when these things happen, they are organic. You're like, oh, this is such a disappointment. This is what you should have said. There are changes in the power production value, right? There's something that needs to happen before this comes on, at least with respect to the national grid, right? It needs to be generated. You have to have capacity for that generation, right? Nigeria's generation, actually, in a certain sense, is not the problem, because Nigeria is able to now generate 14,000 megawatts, but Nigeria still distributes about 5,000 megawatts. So you have such a huge gap, about 9,000 megawatts gap, which is actually more than what you're currently transmitting. So then, what does the logic say? The logic then says that we have a transmission problem. Now, how do you fix this transmission problem? You need resources. There are generally 2 ways to address such big problems. Either you address it as a government, or you design a system of deregulation where the private sector addresses it. Nigeria has done a funny deregulation in the power sector, an unfortunate one, a missed opportunity. And then, thankfully, we've also designed a law that has devolved power, right? It's devolved power in a situation where subnationals can now generate power and transmit power, and they've basically been handed power to do that. The bottom line is, this gap in transmission, how do you increase your national capacity to transmit what you generate? And O'Shea, it's not by mouth. Money needs to be generated. Now, how much do you need? Do you need $10 billion? If you need $10 billion, the inefficient way to go about it is the way Nigeria has generally gone about these things, which is that the country by itself will go borrow money and try to do it, and then it gets stolen. You know why it gets stolen? There is no motivation for profit. Now, in a situation where companies are allowed to come into that place to play, there's motivation for profit. Then they go and raise money. They build what they need to build. They sell power at market price, and everything then goes smoothly. The challenge with that is that Nigeria's power remains subsidized, which means that the incentive for a private player to come and play in this space is quite limited, because private players are moderated by profits. And at the moment, government is very much a controller. That's why I said our deregulation in that space is quite still suspect. Private players are not going to come into a place where they cannot even determine how much they want to sell their products. These are the challenges. This is what Peter Obi should have told you, but obviously cannot tell you, because it's like if you tell me now to give you a step-by-step way of designing the rocket. Once I know E equals MC squared, and I know force, and I know power equals work over time and all of those things, I cannot design a rocket. So I will just tell you we have a challenge with leadership in rocket design, and hope that you let me be, which you did.
You don't watch the video, right? Okay. So Omojuwa say Peter Obi no answer the question. The question where Peter Obi say na government be problem, Omojuwa say Peter Obi no answer am. Now, he can't speak grammar, speak English. As the English they flow now to for him mind though, he gets sense. He can't use more than 4 minutes to explain the answer when if he say Peter Obi no give. Now in this 4 minutes, when he to explain, everything he said went back to the answer where Peter Obi give in 5 seconds, saying that government now be the problem. Now, make I try break down these issues when Omojuwa talk about. First, make I correct you, Omojuwa. You say Nigeria as at today, they generate 14,000 megawatts of electricity. That's not true. You lied, or you want misinform the public deliberately. As at today, Nigeria gets the capacity to generate 16,384 megawatts of electricity. They get the capacity. But waiting that they generate as at today, now 5,801 megawatts of electricity. They get the capacity different from waiting that they generate. So you said Nigeria is generating 14,000 megawatts of electricity is not true. It's a big lie. What Nigeria is generating is 5,801. Number 2, you say we need resources. Who not they provide these resources when we need to generate these megawatts? It's government. You also agreed. You said so. You also said that government deregulating the sector, power sector, was a problem because the deregulation, they funny. Now, who do the funny deregulation? Now, government, right? Now, you also go further to talk about the issue of the laws when you think, say, government make also to help the deregulation of the sector. However, my question to you be say, we get good laws, but those laws are not being implemented and are not being enforced. And who suppose implement and enforce the laws when government make? Now government, agencies of government, and these agencies are not enforcing these laws. So then, my question to you, who be the problem? Government. Agencies like NEC, why not they do anything? They allow these discos. They do what they like. Who are you blaming? You went back to the answer Peter Obi gave the government. You also said and agreed, say the money where government they borrow, say that they steal them. Who they steal them? The same government. Now they steal the money. But you can't make one mistake. You say that because they steal the money, now he make these private sectors, now they won't come invest for the power sector. So again, you've answered the question. You talk something when I also want to talk about. You talk about the issue of subsidy. Omojuwa, everywhere in the world as at today, governments at different countries, they subsidize. They subsidize education, they subsidize healthcare, they subsidize even transportation. And that is why when you travel abroad, The normal government bosses, if you enter, they cheap. But if you want do big boy, they go carry boat. You go pay higher. Now you want do big boy. But when they reach Nigeria, when they make subsidy look like say now something where they out of the extraordinary. But I will tell you why private sector are angry and they are not willing to come and invest. Because when government say they want subsidize, government does not pay that part of subsidy when they on top, where they say may they reduce for citizens. Government no they pay. Rather than they steal the subsidy money. That is the problem when private sector they get. Otherwise, you say private sector no they make gain and they won't make gain. Let me ask you, if for example, government say instead of Nigerians to be paying 5,000 naira, let them pay 3,000 naira. And then we as government go pay the 2,000 naira. If government pay, that means the private sector where they can invest, say get it in 5,000 naira, e no short. But when government say subsidize it to 3,000, we will pay the 2,000 and government no pay. That is the issue. Now where private sector no they make money. So again, you also agree, say government now be the problem what we they face for Nigeria. Waiting Peter Obi use 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Take answer. Now you spend 4 minutes till they explain. Now, una want make Peter Obi tell una how in go do am. Do not forget that he spent money to get those information from those countries when he talk about, say they don't make progress for their power sector. And you want him to just come and give it to you. And then when he even give una the solution on how to go about them, una go implement them, una not go implement them well. Then when una fail, una go say, see what Peter will be talk about now, it no work. Una forget. Say the same ingredients where they give 2 different people when one cook. One when no sabi cook, go use that ingredient take cook, the food no go sweet. The one where sabi cook, so go use even half of that ingredient take cook, the food go sweet pass person when no sabi cook. So the problem is not about the formula, it's about implementing and following through the processes to implement the formula, which the government as at today is not ready to follow through. If not, my brother, spending more money in the power sector is not even the issue, because what we have spent in the power sector since 1999 till date 2025 is well over 80 trillion naira. Go and check. And so the problem not be about say we never spent enough money for the power sector. We have spent enough money, but like you also said and agree, that they steal the money. That means government now be still the problem. You just ended up wasting more than 4 minutes explaining what Peter Obi answered in 5 seconds. And that is why people like us believe in him when he say he can fix Nigeria in 4 years. Because waiting on the rigmarole 8 years, they try do one and not still fit do. He go straight to the point and deliver on the issues. Because the problem we have in Nigeria not be problem of laws. We have good laws. We do not have agencies of government. We do not have, appointees of government wanting to implement these laws that we already have. Because, of course, waiting else you expect from them. Once the head is corrupt, then what do you expect from the body? If they say nothing they happen for top, even them go they misbehave for their small offices where they do. So, my brother, I believe that with what you have just said from your mouth, you also agreed that Peter Obi made sense when he went straight to the point to say government is the problem we're having.